All right, Mario, I want to start off with talking about Marvel's glorious golden chariot of a bandwagon.
Oh, come on now, Sam. Come on.
Just-
You know people are so neutral and unbiased when it comes to this stuff.
Sure. Man, I am clawing at the sides of this chariot, man. My fingernails are just making scratch marks along it.
I know while the mouse is hanging onto your foot, like, get the fuck over here! Get back here! You know? Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Q the Review. We are going to be reviewing Thor Ragnarok. I feel like you were not as... Okay, let's just say... We all know all the ratings it's been getting. 93% on Rotten
Really
Tomatoes.
good ratings.
It is really, really up there in IMDb and wherever you look. It is, at least for critically received, the second most highest, right after Iron Man, which, of course, is arguably the best one.
Yeah.
Now, I would have to say that a lot of people are appreciating more of what they were expecting, the typical formula, but in a way it kind of breaks that mold in that I would say this is an action movie all the way through. No, what did I say? Action? No, it is a comedy. Yeah, I'm running on like 2 hours of sleep, by the way. No, it is a full-on comedy the entire way. There is action, but it's a comedy that takes the forefront. Even the action sometimes is very humorous.
Pretty much, yes. I don't see this as an action film at all.
Yeah,
There was never a point in this where I was watching it like, yeah, get him, fight! Like,
well, to be fair, there are some visual sequences that, even though might not be part of the overall action, they are really well done. I mean, scenes that look like they're straight out of a comic book or like some Norse, illustration, know, especially involving Hela and the Valkyries.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, a lot of that visual stuff is really impressive. They got the visuals down, which is as much as I can say for anything revolving around the action, not the actual characters, but visually I was pleased.
Yeah, definitely. Like Marvel knows what it's doing every time, and they have that formula, but not just in terms of story, but just how it looks.
Yeah.
And and they can't go wrong with that ever. Like really, like just even how like that colorful and crazy.
I know.
The junkyard place was. That was ridiculous. Like just seeing.
I know. I felt like I was in LA all over.
Everywhere. Again. I know. Like I never left.
I know. But no, I do feel that they are definitely adapting the more visually striking formula of, Doctor Strange and Guardians. Yeah. So I'm not complaining about that. I definitely felt that up until recently, DC had the forefront of the visuals. Now it looks like Marvel is catching up. And I mean, just beating them at their own game, to be honest, because they're upping up.
They always have been doing. Yeah. I would argue is just they know that game so well, so they just right off the bat, even with like starting off with Iron Man and stuff like that, they just had the system down. I don't know how they were like so on point with it, but it obviously still works.
Yeah, no, I definitely feel that. I feel the formula is never going to go away. Let's just accept that fact. We are always going to have your usual three-part story with a big action scene at the end. And I'll admit the action at the end was not that impressive. But it does help in that they incorporate a ton of humor in it. Because I can tell you right now, I felt that, at least for me, I was actually enjoying the comedy a whole lot. It is very quirky, kind of, I would say almost close to Wes Anderson kind of comedy in terms of like awkwardness and that kind of stuff. It did remind me a lot of that. I mean, how did you feel about the comedy?
I just don't think I had a choice. Because the film offered nothing else other than comedy just the entire time.
That's all you get. And actually, if you ever seen, the director also did What We Do in the Shadows, which is, the mockumentary of not only, like these vampires, but like the whole monster world. And I felt like a lot of that, that's where I saw a lot of that humor paralleling. But I gotta say, there was some moments where what was your laugh out loud moment? You had to have one.
Yeah, there was a couple, and I honestly just think the funniest scenes for me were between Hulk and Thor, especially during their fight scene.
Yeah.
I think that one... Yeah, that one scene I think that stuck out the most is just when there's that whole family reunion you see in the trailer. I'm just like, yes, my friend from work, you know.
I know. Loki, look.
And Loki's face.
He sells that expression so well.
He's just traumatized.
I know.
He's
He's just
remembering just boom.
I know.
Boom.
Like a battered husband.
Why?
No, for me, it was definitely the moment where they were actually talking about, should we let Loki in to the team? And he's actually recalling, yeah, no, he's an asshole. I remember when he was little, he he pretended to be a snake, and then it was just him and
Oh,
Shang.
that was really
And just Loki
funny.
just smirking like, yeah.
Because that was like the perfect representation of their relationship.
Exactly. And I gotta say, I did really enjoy a lot of the character dynamics, and there were some standouts, but I definitely want to go more into it. What did you think about the Thor and Loki relationship?
It was so much different here compared to the last films. And I can't decide if it was good or... let me put it this way. In terms of this film, standalone, it's good. Like,
Okay.
I like the relationship. It's not standard to their relationship in the comic books.
They
or
took
anything
away
else.
all the thous and dies and Shakespeare's.
Yeah, they got rid of all that bullshit, which I really like. It makes it more personable. But just in terms of the reality of the situation, of just Loki be like, hey buddy, like,
Which was totally different from the previous movies, because I gotta tell you, I was okay with the first Thor movie. It didn't insult me, not like Thor 2. That was that was a hot piece of trash. But no, it actually looks like they figured it out, like, as in, okay, this is not working. You know, like we got to get rid of all the Shakespearean stuff. We got to stop taking ourselves seriously. Like, Game of Thrones is not going to translate, you know? So it definitely did look like they kind of gave up on that and just, just hammy it up and just make it just a full-on comedy. Which I say, for the most part, it did work, especially when you have a character as... even if you're a fan, you gotta admit, a character like Thor is very out there and very silly at some points. So yeah, no, I did like how they were finally making fun of themselves, and they were not taking themselves seriously like the previous two movies. And I gotta say, I'm pretty happy they got rid of Natalie Portman, because that never did it for me.
Yeah, that was not working for me either. I don't know, like, it makes me worried in terms of future films of just...
I said everything's not going to be a comedy, basically.
They have to, like, they've set themselves on a path that they cannot divert. They can't go back now. Like, that's it's over. And it's just interesting, because I've always wanted, when we got the story about Thor and Loki, I always wanted, like, the pure, savage, real version of it, where fucking, like, when Loki is killing people, there's I forget which story it is, he kills one of the brothers, and Odin rips out Loki's intestines and chains him down with those intestines.
I don't think the mouse is going to let that happen, man.
Obviously, the mouse is not going to let that happen. That is some heavy shit, but...
Oh, PG-13 or go to hell!
We're not going to get anywhere near,
no,
like,
man, don't even... Yeah,
awesome,
don't even
crazy, real drama in this series ever. You know, it's game over. So, in that regard, I'm kind of disappointed, but for this film, it's enjoyable, definitely, to see the relationship of just how funny they are, just Thor, like, them battling together, or Thor just throwing Loki around and shit.
Yeah.
You know?
I gotta say, as you were mentioning with Hulk and Thor's dynamic, I definitely did appreciate Thor and Bruce Banner a lot more, because not only did they add that fish out of water element to it, but it like they incorporated back to, like the first Thor movie. That's what made it work, in terms of they were, to an extent, also not taking themselves seriously in that movie, when he's going to a coffee shop and I'll have another, and asking for like a monster at a pet store, so it actually did work for me, and how Bruce Banner was just doing his best just to stay calm and composed in like a very like Rick and Morty kind of world, and he's just like trying not to like fucking lose it. So yeah, no, I did appreciate, and the little like just how I felt like they finally nailed down like the very quirky and anxious Bruce Banner that we usually get, because that's the one that I'm used to seeing, where he's like very reserved and he's just like trying to hold back Hulk as much as he can. And how they actually do that transition between Banner and Hulk was actually pretty neat, which we'll get into spoilers.
Yeah, that was a really like rough moment, and you could like that was the only true like Hulk moment I felt I got during this entire film. Like everything, I don't care which character it is, everyone's different. They totally rewrote, I feel, a lot of the characters, or just finally leans in the direction that we were all kind of like knew they were going to go, especially with Thor. You know, that we knew like the whole Shakespeare thing wasn't working out, and we're all like, no, you need to like make it more funny and more lively and more like this and that, and that's what they did. But it's the shift between the second Thor, or even like the last Avengers film, honestly. Like this is a huge shift for everyone.
Yeah, especially I especially like that they made him like really cocky and you know, self-confident, when in the other movie they were trying to like hold him back. You know, you gotta be humble, you gotta be you know, worthy of carrying Mjolnir, you know. So and here they just throw that all out the fucking window. Let's have him be really cocky and have Hulk talk, which I definitely feel that people are going to criticize that, but it's not my problem with. My problem is not with how Hulk talking in general, because we've had, you know, adaptations where he actually talks, where you know, it can go from just, you know, from just blabbering and gibberish all the way to Mike Tyson. So it worked for me in that they explain it a tiny bit, but not a whole lot for that huge gap.
I just think they knew they didn't have the time to do it, and it didn't matter, and it would have took away from the comedy, which is again all this film is really about. One thing I just remembered, because it was such a blip in this film, was how did you feel about them bringing in Doctor Strange?
I was fine. I was expecting it, but not how they actually did it. It was a very forgettable scene.
Felt so,
to be honest. It didn't feel shoehorned. It did not feel shoehorned.
Really?
At least for me, because I was expecting it already. So I was just looking for places where it would actually come out. No, but I felt that it was okay. There's a lot of cameos from other characters.
Yeah.
And there are some hilarious cameos by Matt Damon and Sam Neill. That was hilarious. That was goddamn hilarious. But yeah, no, it was okay with Doctor Strange. I felt like they, at least for the most part, organically placed him in there. And even if that really bothered you, he's only in it for like 2 minutes. So he's not there for too long. It's just...
That's true. It's that for me, and the fact that they lead the film into an anime.
Yeah, they kind of do. They gave Odin a pretty anime death, and that you don't see them like dropping. They just turn into bubbles or particles.
Yeah.
Just like... I don't know. I kind of was like... whatever with that. What actually I want to know what you thought of Cate Blanchett as Hela.
You know, I enjoyed it actually. I really thought it wasn't gonna work.
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna look so just. It is 2D, and it doesn't have a lot of depth to it, and it's very sleek and shiny and whatever, but it works.
Yeah, unlike
She sells it.
The previous villains from the Thor's movies, this is actually really funny and interesting to look, especially with. I never thought that they would actually get her design with like the helmet with the spikes.
That
and everything.
worked really well.
They fucking nailed it, and it actually looked really badass.
Yeah.
And her fighting style and how, you know, she fucking just nails down entire armies really showed how, even though the movie's comedy really holds back like any sense of threats or urgency, it did feel like she was a force to be reckoned with.
Oh, definitely. I mean, you see a savage fighter. Like, there's no getting around her. Like, she is a fucking brick wall. She's gonna hit hard. That
was like Cate Blanchett was just having the time of her life.
I know.
Like, she was just it actually felt like she was actually killing people.
I can argue it being the best villain.
Oh, don't! I wouldn't even go there. Purple Man all the way for me. But you have a problem.
Yeah, those two words, Purple Man.
No, man, for me, the one who actually stole the show was Jeff Goldblum.
Oh my god.
Dude.
Yes.
Dude.
God, every film he is in, he just steals the show.
Of course.
He just fucking nails it. Oh my god. He is such... he is such a disgusting weasel
I know.
in this, and he's not strong. Like,
And it's perfect for the game master because that's
I
exactly
know.
how you would imagine somebody with that kind of power and boredom that he needs to entertain himself through these horrible
he
things.
sold
but
it
works.
so well. Like the costume and like his mannerisms were.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so.
And
funny
I'm glad
to
they
see.
didn't paint him all the way blue. 'Cause
Yeah.
that would have been a bit,
Bit much.
weird. But no, I actually did like his role a lot. It was funny and quirky and awkward in all the right ways.
Yeah, and they had like the perfect amount of screen time. Like I could just see very quickly how that could have taken a very bad turn,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it would have been like just way too much. But I think even like Jeff Goldblum knew how to like keep it back, like keep it within like a certain realm of how quirky and like weird this
just that
character is.
eccentric, bigger than life kind of character.
Pretty
That-
much, yeah.
That I mean, really, if you're gonna give it to anyone, give it to Jeff Goldblum.
Oh yeah, yeah, no doubt, totally works. He totally
Yeah, he
sells
makes
it.
really good villains. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, like you see him play like good roles, like in the whatchamacallit hotel. I'm too tired. Jurassic Park and all of that, where he actually plays actual good characters. But I mean, he does it like we just recently watched The Fly,
Right.
So we
That
were
was
coming
so-
straight
yeah.
out of that.
That's true. Yeah, even out of that, like I'm so glad he's still acting and still not doing anything like. He's a good comedian.
Yeah.
I feel like just really pulls off those parts really well and for like a very pure comedy.
Yeah,
film.
after seeing him in Portlandia, I had no concerns with him doing comedy.
Right.
He nails it.
You kind of touched upon it earlier, but just overall in terms of the whole talking and just like the whole relationship with everyone is how everything is kind of dumbed down. How do you see like future Marvel films going after? Because this is a total shift,
Yeah.
more or less, in their mood.
Well, I'm not gonna say it's not impossible, but I mean, the reason why I think that this may be exclusive to Thor is because Thor, let's be real, was the worst of the Marvel universe. Like
Yeah.
that was failing, and DC had to intervene somehow. I almost feel like they got the director who is well known, but is not is not as influential, so it's easy to manage.
Yeah, it's true.
But no, I don't think it's gonna spread out to the other Marvel movies because they all have like their own thing. You have like your thrillers, your full on comedies, your sci-fi, blah blah blah. They all, even if they're mostly superhero movies, they kind of like intermingle with other subgenres. So I felt that because they already have, for the most part, working dynamics with all of the other movies, I don't see it being super necessary. At the end of the day, they might add more comedy, but I don't think that would change the entire, phases of what the Marvel movies will be like.
That's okay. That
Yeah.
totally makes sense.
Yeah, because I mean, Captain America, Iron Man, those are doing fine. I don't think they're going to turn into straight up comedies anytime soon.
Yeah, those are already
Yeah.
working, and yeah, it's right. Like Thor just
Thor started off very shaky, but then he just fell right over the fucking cliff.
pretty much. And this, I wouldn't say this redeems it though, honestly, but it brought it.
It doesn't redeem
something.
it, but it's definitely better. Because, I mean, because like I said, it's in those aspects in that you do, even though they're working complex relationships, there's no sense of risk and it's all comedy. So it kind of
Yeah.
feels like a cartoon at some points. And it was a good cartoon.
That's
I'll
true.
be fair. But yeah, no, like we were actually talking about this. Even though I was having a good time and laughing, I felt a tiny bit empty. Once I was actually exiting the theater,
Yeah.
I felt like even though it was great, I would probably forget half of it by tomorrow.
Yeah, there's no real essence
Yeah.
to the story. It's more about just the quirky relationships and just the comedy behind everything, and rather than the severity of the moment.
Which is not to say I would have wanted, the seriousness or the Game of Thrones stuff from like the previous movies. I will much rather have this, but I feel it's like a give and take kind of thing, at least for how it was directed and what it was trying to achieve.
So before we get into the ratings of this, what would you say was your biggest dislike about this film?
Ooh, my biggest disappointment. I would say how they handled Odin, especially because it's a goodbye, not a super goodbye, but a kind of a goodbye to that character. Because I mean, there's millions of ways that he can come back, but yeah, no, they handled it like I said, like a very anime death, like all dreamy and romanticized. But Yeah, other than that, I don't have a huge problem with that per se. It's more, like I said, it felt like it was trying to be a comedy, but that was it. Which is there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But I did want, a little extra, like one thing that I could like remember, like for sure.
Yeah.
Because I mean, even like the action is not something we've never seen before,
Oh, yeah,
especially in
it's
Marvel
never-
movies.
Yeah.
And I mean, sure, like the guy is known for directing comedy, so it might not be his forte. But yeah, no, there were like maybe like one or two things I can definitely remember, like just for being visually striking. But other than that, it's the perfect popcorn movie. That's the best way to explain it.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I think for me, it's just for a Marvel film, the story like already like for a lot of the Marvel stories, like it's hit and miss with stories. Just
It's
like
very simple, but that's what makes the comedy work, though.
true. The ending,
Yeah.
man, dude, it is
We'll definitely have to spoil the
it is a brutally dumb ending in my opinion. I think that was the only thing I really just disliked. Is just like at the last half an hour, maybe 15 minutes, like just they're just like, okay, wrap it up. Just boom.
Yeah.
And then just crumpled it up and just tossed it in the can, like, okay, we're done. And that just kind of seemed to be it. And just it being pure comedy didn't quite carry me enough for that end of the road ride. I don't know.
Oh yeah, and also one more warning: if you're a huge fan of Scourge, who is portrayed by Carl Urban,
Yeah.
oh, he is wasted. He is
Right.
absolutely
A lot of like, or Idris Elba too. If you miss him,
Listen, I felt like they could have done more with this character, but what they gave me was just enough to make him at least somewhat significant to the overall story.
he got his moments, I guess.
Yeah, he had his moments. How about this? Let's get straight into the ratings because
Okay.
I can feel this burning a hole in you.
Dude, yeah, I'm not joking. I'm clawing at the sides of this fucking bandwagon, dude. I'm not. Y'all know, like, if you listen to our trailer review, I was just already not into this.
Yeah.
And Mario was a whole lot more, and like, come on, like, we can do this. They can pull through.
You know what? There's still Black Panther.
And they more or less pulled Thor through. But
You're saying like they were dragging him through the dirt.
yeah, they were. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it is an entertaining film, but it is a pure popcorn film,
Yeah.
in my opinion. There is no depth to this. It doesn't bring anything for the rest of the universe, honestly. Even the post-credit scene didn't... It's just moving everything towards the marketing of Infinity Wars. But I really hope that this is, like, the last leg of Thor. Like, even though the post-credits seemed like they might be under Thor's name, I think it's just they've kind of run their luck with this one, and for the most part, for all the other films, it's only been in threes. Iron Man, Thor, Captain America kind of had like a fourth one, kind of, but hopefully this is the end of that leg. But for this film, I didn't have a bad time,
Yeah.
I stayed awake. I'll give it that. It looks pretty. It's a Marvel formula, and it works constantly. Overhyped,
No, yeah.
to say the
I'd
least.
yeah.
The critics aren't wrong. It's a good film and it's fun, but it's not the Marvel universe I want going forward. Honestly, I'm gonna give this a low Netflix and chill. Like, if there's another Marvel film on there, like, just rewatch Doctor Strange.
I thought you were gonna go way below that.
No.
No,
You're
because
a
merciful one.
It's a fun film. It really is. Like, I had a fun time seeing this Hulk's quirkiness and what they did to the characters, and just the relationship between Loki and Thor, although, like, completely weird and not related to the comic books at all. It was fun. It was entertaining. And I was able to get through a shorter film. It was only an hour and a half, I think, right? So
Yeah. which was good.
They kept it condensed, and it was a fun comedy.
I felt like for the time that they had left, they really put a good work into the pacing and what they had to do. So yeah.
What do you think?
Okay, so yes, my main complaints, as I already mentioned. So yeah, there's no sense of urgency, or I would almost say consequence.
Yeah.
Because even if with all the other in superhero movies in general, there's always something besides that you can take with you, because even though we weren't super huge fans of Guardians of the Galaxy 2, they did have a new emotional aspect to grasp onto, so I wanted something like that, just that one little extra to push it over the edge and to, get off your ass. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm gonna have to give it a watch it in theaters still, only because the visuals are something that you have to see on the big screen. For me, it was worthwhile, and especially with the comedy, I definitely do feel that if the whole audience is in on it and is having a great time, that only adds to your experience. So I was having a good time with the comedy overall. Even though a few jokes were hit and miss, I would say at least 70% of them were actually like chuckle worthy. And there's a few laugh out loud moments.
Yeah, definitely.
Other than that, I also did like the whole dynamics with the characters. It's really, I was surprised. Chris Hemsworth did a really good job. Like, this is like the first Thor movie that I really felt that he was actually, it was actually on his shoulders and he pulled it off.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I felt like they got rid of a lot of the stuff I didn't like in the previous Thor movies. But because of that, I did feel that there was like that consequence of, like not feeling like, I honestly, it didn't feel like it had any sort of connection. Like you were saying that it really does set up a whole lot of like the whole MCU. I didn't really feel like that except for the cameos. There's the after credits sequence kind of does that, but it didn't really feel like it had, a big push towards, Infinity War, which is pretty much what it's trying to do.
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah, I gotta say because of that, and it is a perfect popcorn movie, it's worth watching in theaters. I will not give it a get off your ass. If you can watch this as, like a matinee or it's a discount, it's the perfect movie. But I'm not gonna remember it like a week from now.
Yeah, pretty much.
But for the time that I was in the theater, I was having a blast.
Yeah, I think the only visuals that really drew me in were the scenes of flashbacks when Hela looked
gorgeous,
like paintings.
Yes,
they looked crazy. Like when the freaking Asgardian Valkyrie is coming in, spot on. That was legit. I really liked it.
Was surprisingly better than the past sequences of like Wonder Woman.
Oh yeah,
I was like, wow, that the one thing that DC was hanging on to.
I was like, all those people that played the Valkyrie, where were they?
Yeah.
In Wonder Woman, because we didn't get that. Like those, that was so much more badass. That's what the Amazonians should have been like. I don't know.
Yeah. So. Yeah, at least for me, the visuals, the performances, and the comedy were what really pulled it off for me to keep it elevated to watch it in theaters. I definitely feel it's something you have to enjoy on the big screen. If you don't care, sure, Netflix. But if you like the MCU movies overall, this is something you have to catch.
All right, guys. All right, guys. Before we get into some really quick spoilers, we just want to let you know if you want to tune out now, do so now. If you are listening to the audio of this, either on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, SoundCloud, wherever you're listening to it, this is also a video. So go check us out on YouTube as well under Q The Review. Follow us on Facebook as well. Let us know how we're doing. Give us a review. If there's something you guys want us to watch, let us know. We have a rehash series that we do. We love taking suggestions from you guys, and we love watching these wonderful old films, new films, whatever is out that we might have missed. We'll take a look at it.
We'll watch anything. We're whores.
Pretty much. So again, thank you guys for listening. If you want to stay tuned for spoilers, we're going to go over the ending, I'm pretty sure, is like the only really big spoiler.
Asgard is fucking gone.
Yeah.
They fucking... Oh, that's what I understand by what you said and that you didn't like the ending. It felt premature, to just let go of Asgard.
Oh, they didn't even try.
Yeah, they didn't because I mean, sure, as we were saying, Hela is a real threat.
Yeah,
like,
no, yeah,
she
no.
can take it down on her own.
Yeah.
We get that, but we only see Valkyrie, Thor even attempt to stop her.
Yeah.
So Hulk is off on the side trying to stop her wolf.
Yeah.
And then of course, in true Loki fashion, your hero is here,
Yeah.
just saving all the people, which was a huge character shit, but whatever. Yeah, it didn't feel like they were really against the wall to the point where you're like, okay, we get it. You at least save the people. There's no way to save, Asgard. And I mean, at least to their credit, they did save what I assume is all of the population of Asgard
Pretty
in
much,
that ship. But it felt like they left too early is basically what I'm saying, and just let Ragnarok and that demon just take it down, which is pretty fucking depressing for a movie that was purely comedy.
Yeah, it just took a weird shift at the end. There was a very distinct point when Thor just like snapped. He's like, "All right, we lost. Hey, Loki, you get your chance to finally destroy Asgard. I'll go save these people, and we'll wrap this up. How about that?"
Yeah, man, cut. No, they even make a joke about like the destruction of their city.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, oh no, it's okay. We still have the foundation. We can build on
save
top of
it.
it. Boom. Never mind.
You're fucked. That's gone. Moving on. Sorry, guys.
I know.
Yeah.
And they're saying that they're gonna bring the whole population to Earth. I don't think Trump's gonna take that, man. We haven't been so down with immigrants lately. I don't think that's gonna work.
You're bringing a ship full of what?
I know, man. I know. It's just like when Asgard brings their people, they're not bringing their best.
Well, it's a good thing they didn't make it to Earth.
I know.
Spoiler alert.
They're not bringing their soldiers. But yeah, no, they do make a little, what I assume is Thanos' ship.
That's what I guess.
That's what I want. I want to say I didn't really look into it, but yeah, I assume that's where they're trying to make that connection. But it kind of, if you've seen the leaked trailers for Infinity Wars, it doesn't really explain much as to why Thor is floating out in space and lands on the Guardian ship. But no, overall, we'll see where it goes. I assume there was more than one after credit scene, but we didn't stick around.
No, I think that was going to be the essence of it, really. And
Yeah.
anything after that's just going to be more comedy, most likely. So there wasn't really a point in staying around. That was like the biggest, other than Odin's death, and him just being like,
I know. Bubbles, 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 bubbles.
like that was really lame. It's fucking Odin. I don't know.
know.
And Thor took it so well.
Yeah, there's really not a whole lot of mourning at his loss.
Not at all.
I mean, granted, he did a great job in his performance, but yeah, no, it definitely did feel like another thing that Odin. I feel like a lot of things were left prematurely. It's almost like Marvel and Disney are exploring with the hour and a half kind of thing. Because I mean, I hope that's not every single movie, because there's, even though they did a good job here, it definitely
doesn't mean every movie needs to have that.
And they had a good pace going throughout it, and they organized everything very well. I definitely feel like at least another 10-15 minutes would have, especially towards the end, would have made a lot more sense.
No,
No?
because there already wasn't anything for the first hour and a half. Like making it an hour 40.
There's a lot going on in the first hour.
There's a lot going on, but it's just there's no story to this.
It's because
comedy.
it has a really fast pace. It moves really fast, which is not to say that you'll have any trouble understanding it. It's just like, oh, this is happening now, the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. So it felt like it went by too fast, is what I'm saying. And I feel like another 10 minutes would not have been a big deal. If we're talking about like half an hour, sure, yeah, don't go anywhere near that.
Yeah.
But another 10 minutes to flesh out a couple things here and there would have worked out just fine.
Yeah, maybe a couple of things with like the Hulk.
Yeah.
And just like kind of bringing,
because they just
closure to a lot of things.
All of these, especially Thor and Hulk, changed very, very drastically, and towards the end, Loki changes a lot. So I felt like that was all done, very rushed in terms of how they pulled that off. But yeah, I mean, at this, like I'm saying, I feel like it's very conflicting to want, that great character development when it's like just a full-on comedy it's not even remotely taking itself seriously.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel it could have only benefited from that.
Okay. Maybe. They'd have to write it very specifically for just to kind of flush out a couple things, but again, great entertainment value and it works as it is.
Yeah, and I mean in terms of at least Hulk, they semi-explain because the whole thing is that
they go through it very quickly, but
yeah, it's a split personality, and Hulk hates Banner, and Banner's afraid of Hulk, so it's it looks like they were gonna touch a lot on that dynamic, and I was excited for that. I was like, oh, we're finally gonna get to see like one of those things, but no, it's just like a one-off, and they're over it in like 2 minutes, and okay, now it makes sense why he can talk apparently.
You asked me like my favorite like laugh out loud scene. The one with Loki seeing Hulk was definitely like the top one, but very close bet is when Banner is about to go like try to save everyone.
He tries to pull an Incredible Hulk where he's jumping out of the helicopter
and like lands as Hulk. Yeah, let's do this. Ooh, talk about a rough landing.
I thought he was dead.
I don't know how he wasn't. I don't understand how that works, but
it's cartoon physics.
Dude, he just fucking goes head first.
Yeah.
Just cracks into the ground, just flops like a rag doll.
Yeah, this is a scene right before he's gonna fight the wolf. So the wolf is just like standing there as just his human body just smashes on the Rainbow Bridge, and he's just like, it just keeps going forward. So that was a pretty hilarious scene.
That was a brutal scene. Loved it though. That was great. Man.
Yeah, I saw it coming from a mile away, but I still laughed my ass off.
Yeah. Oh man.
Especially with IMAX speakers, it helps.
Yeah. Oh, you heard that crunch. Oh, you heard the landing.
It was a crunch, a splash.
Oh
a splash.
Ooh. Damn. All right. Do you have anything to add to this? Any more spoilers or?
No. Odin and Asgard are dead
They're
forever.
Fucked.
Yeah, that's pretty. Yeah.
But Asgard's where the heart is.
I know, right? That was really.
That's pretty much
that
what
was
they
very
did.
corny.
I'm not lying with that. That's exactly basically what they did. Home is where the heart is. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh God. Well, Black Panther's the last hope for me to Black Panther back into this bandwagon, and then past that, if that doesn't go well, I'm kind of done.
It's okay.
I'm done with the formula.
If you don't like it, we'll just say you're racist, and we'll be done with it.
Yeah, right. God damn it. Oh man, thank you guys again. If you stayed tuned in, follow us again on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play, wherever you find your podcasts. If you're listening in, again, we are on YouTube if you want to see our beautiful mugs. And then follow us on Facebook as well, under Cue the View. Let us know how we're doing. Give us a review. Let us know, hey, you should watch this. Netflix just did another really crappy cartoon. Big mouth. And
God, that was... No.
We love watching these things, as painful as they are. We fucking did Geostorm and My Little Pony in a weekend.
That was one hell of a week.
That was one hell of a bender, to say the least. But we do love watching these things for you guys. Let us know how we're doing, and we'll see you next time.
I think I'll have another.